Are we ready? Is it 9 o'clock? We'll call this meeting of the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad Commission to order at 9 o'clock. It's February 25th. Can I get Scott to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want to start with who you are?
Sure. I'm Mark Rabel, Commissioner for Colorado.
Billy Elbrock, current chairperson and commissioner for New Mexico.
Scott Gibbs, current vice chair, commissioner from Colorado, and president.
Bill Locke, Commissioner from New Mexico.
Kim Smith, Casper, Chief of Staff.
Rich Casper, Chama.
Honor Gibbs, Joseph Springs.
I need that desperately. Thank you.
Abigail Martinez, Chalmers.
Sam Seaver, Liquid, Colorado. John Bush, Chama.
Barbara Hogan, Chama.
Judy Tennant, Rio Grande.
Tim Tennant with the Friends of Rio Rancho.
Neon Bar, Chama.
Sal Olson, Antonito.
Roger from
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I would like to adapt the order, adjust the order. I suggest that we go into executive session after the Friends report.
Okay, executive session after the Friends. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Well, we should do that by way of a motion.
Yes.
Move that we adopt the agenda as revised.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you want to do 5, Bill?
Thank you. I was drawing an arrow there. So I'd like to move the approval of the minutes from our last commission meeting on November 12th, 2022.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'd also like to move to approve the minutes from the January 30th, 2023 special meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One of them you sign, one of them Bill signs. That one's yours.
Okay. Let's do your pen.
Why don't you use my pen?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I have those?
President's report.
All right. I'm going to start off with an outline of the 2023 season. The scheduled trains 215, 216 will begin running June 3 and run through October 21. We've got a fairly long list of special trains that are set up. Memorial Day will be the weekend with Cumbres trains departing at 1 o'clock. We're working with the village to do some special events during that weekend. And then out of Antonito, there'll be a 315 train that leaves on Saturday and a 168 train that leaves on Sunday. Those are up for reservations right now, and there's a special discount if you buy both trains. those will be departing at the regular time for trains out of here, 10 o'clock. So we'll do an opening day ceremony over here, and then we'll transition and do opening day over in China, so everybody can participate. Then we will do a rededication of Osier on the 3rd up at Osier, as we begin serving lunches up there with the lunch generated in the kitchen, finally. It's been a while. Then for National Narrow Gauge Convention, the Friends are sponsoring 2 photo trips, August 28 with 168 and historic passenger cars, August 29 with 315 and a freight special. We've got the Friends Wine and Dinner Train on July 29th. We have 2 geology trains, one on June 11 and one on September 10. And then the Galloping Goose will be in September 26th through October 1st. So that's sort of a summary of special trains as of today. There may be some additional ones that we put together yet this season. Some of the challenges we're facing in 2023, you're going to hear from folks later about the status of Osier and getting it back complete and operational. But at the end of the season last year, we had some coal supply issues from King Coal. They had a cave-in. They shut off our coal supply for a while. We were able to source coal from the West Elk mine in Somerset. It's significantly more expensive. It works quite well, much lower ash content than the King mine. And we're going to continue with a 2 supplier setup because the Hesperus folks are seeing an increased demand in cement, and since the parent company is the cement company, they send the coal to themselves first. Then 2023 reservations, I think you're going to hear some more later, but right now we're running 44% ahead of 2022 at the same time. So reservations are running quite a bit ahead of where we were last year. One of the things everybody always wants to hear about is all the locomotives and locomotive status. So 168, we'll be doing the cylinder saddle repair using the metal stitch method. It's scheduled for its FRA inspection the week of March 20. The FRA will be down here. 463 will get its inspection that same week. The annual inspection and everything has been completed on 484. It's ready to go. 487. It has had the bottom 18 inches of the firebox removed. There was some star cracking evident in the lower section of the firebox. We thought we were just going to have to replace the side sheets. After doing a mag particle inspection, the extent of the damage was very significant. We then did ultrasonic thickness inspections and found the sheets were very, very thin. So the bottom 18 inches of the firebox has been removed. Once that's put back in, it'll be converted to burn oil. We have a new riveted tender cistern that's been fabricated over in Farmington. We'll go pick it up within the next few weeks and bring it over. That engine is getting an awful lot of work done to it right now. 488, the 5-year flexible stay-bolt inspection's been completed. The annual inspection with the FRA is going to happen the week of the 20th. And we have a new riveted tender cistern being fabricated over in Farmington. 489 has some extensive running gear work needed. It'll get a new fire pan based on the DNS design. The one that was in there failed the last day of the season, and that's one reason we canceled that last day trip. And it'll get a closed oil heater system installed like we replaced the temporary one we put in at the end of the season. 492, all of the appliances are being sourced, and we're working on all the things necessary to find all the parts, or buy the parts, or build the parts. One of the things that was a stumbling block was side rods, main rods, and valve gear parts. And working with the DNS, they've been replacing all the rods on all their locomotives after the failure they had in Silverton a few years back. And so we've purchased a set of rods through them for $492. So it will come out when it re-enters service with a brand new set of side rods, main rods, and all valve gear parts. And the current plan is it will come back as a coal burner. The one thing we don't want to do is cannibalize 497 to make 492 return to operation. So we're being real careful about that. We'll bring it back probably using 497's tender though. We were able to purchase a lot of parts from the DNS that are the expendable components that go in the firebox. Grates, grate bearers for both K36s and K37s. We basically were able to buy their stock of new and used parts at quite a bargain. And so we anticipate that we'll be able to have spares for those items for quite a while. And part of the strategy of converting 87 and 89 to burn oil is trying to make sure we can retain the ability to burn coal. Working with the insurance companies, which has been interesting, the various U.S. government agencies and the two state owners of the railroad. We had New Mexico pushing pretty hard from the legislative perspective to convert everything to oil. They very much were, during the fire issues last year, pushing, why aren't you guys converting everything? And the then head of the Legislative Finance Committee was one pushing very hard. We think we got her convinced that we could manage and still burn coal. And then a quick summary of 315 work for DRHS. All the boiler work is completed. That was pretty extensive, much more so than originally thought when the project was laid out. New flanged rear sheet, new flat front sheet. The railroad, with Steve Butler's help, actually flanged that new sheet and installed it and welded it. Steam test was finished on January 4th. All the boiler lighting and the jacket are on it. The drivers are under it. The driver boxes have been repaired. The engineer's side cylinder was re-sleeved. This week we expect to finish timing the engine and putting the rods back on it. DRHS had the dynamo and hydrostatic lubricator rebuilt. All the piping and the tubing are on it. We anticipate being able to fire it up pretty soon. Quick summary on legislative actions. It appears like New Mexico appropriations for capital and commission funding are moving forward through the legislature. We expect to see what we got last year. Same with Colorado. Our one-time request for money to work on the Chalma Roundhouse to stabilize some of the structure seems to have disappeared in the legislative process. So a request for $750,000 to address some of the broken beams and structure in the roof looks like it got diverted to somebody else. So we'll have to figure out how to take care of that later. One of the things that has been interesting in the discussions with both legislatures, we've walked them through the diversity of this railroad and the employees and the managers, and they've been impressed with how the railroad reflects the communities that it draws people from. And I've gotten quite a few comments on how the management team really does reflect the local communities. And the update that we did on the economic impact study has been absolutely invaluable. The $17.8 million impact that we have in the 5-county region has been something that they've all walked away with. From a staffing perspective, we raised the base pay rate up to $17 an hour. That's putting us relatively competitive with Pagosa, Alamosa, and local regions here. as everybody, I think, in this room has experienced the significant increase in cost of living. All our employees have too. A couple of weeks ago, we announced a Trinidad State College scholarship, and I'd like to thank Marvin for this. This was Marvin's idea, and he got this kicked off. Kim Garcia helped. Kim jumped in and helped draw up the final paperwork, and we got it in place. But we're offering 2 scholarships, one for New Mexico students, one for Colorado students, at Trinidad State up in Alamosa, and using that as a pipeline of skilled students into the railroad and trying to recruit local folks with appropriate fabrication skills to assist us. And it comes with an internship for the student that is awarded the scholarship. We had a very successful job fair at Chama. We're going to participate in one over here in the valley. We were able to hire several people out of the job fair immediately for the one we held in Chama. And we've got several more people that will be joining us during the season. Let's see, locomotive availability falls back into one of the issues we had with Fireman Engineer School. As we looked forward, having only 2 K-36 coal burners and prioritizing trains 215 and 216 didn't leave a whole lot of flexibility left to handle Fireman Engineer Schools. So we've delayed them this year, hope that we're able to bring those back in the future. Looking at the costing and the cost model, comparing it with other Fireman Engineer Schools elsewhere in the country, we were an extreme bargain. If you look at Nevada Northern, they charge for one 28-mile trip what we were charging for 4 days. Just a quick summary of stuff that's happened. We finished a strategic plan, and the commission will review it later. Car storage shed and shop in Antonito is now under construction, so we can get the historic car fleet in under cover. 1472 inspection is being completed for DRHS. We've been doing a management development and training program where once a month we're getting all the managers together to invest in the team that runs this place. And we're working very hard on changing the employment policies to align with all the statutory changes in both states. There have been some substantial changes that have occurred in sick leave, in paid time off, in all of the various benefit packages, and the Secure Act 2 that got passed on the federal level has applied some different requirements on our retirement program. So all of the employment policies are having to go through a substantial review. The Osier water situation, we were recategorized as groundwater under the influence of surface water. And that changed all the requirements for all the water monitoring up there and the water treatment. So we're building a water treatment plant, and it will be taken up there this spring and installed. I think the total installed cost with everything and putting in place will be about $140,000 when we put it in. But that will mean that we're in compliance with all the Colorado drinking water standards up there. And the last item is the Florence and Cripple Creek Combine that sat here in Antonito for years is now in California. And they are planning to restore it to go with their other Florence and Cripple Creek cars. So we were able to ship it out of here this spring.
In one piece.
In one piece. And it arrived in one piece, which was even more of a surprise.
Scott, on the water treatment, this plant will alleviate us from having to do the daily sampling that they were pushing for?
Yeah, what we've done is put in a continuous monitoring, so we will actually be able to do a lot of the reporting that's required by sensors in the water system that will link back, and we'll be able to run the reports in Chama or Antonito in real time.
So it'll be a radio link?
Yep, internet link with Starlink.
Cool. Any questions for Scott?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Marvin? Marvin?
What we've been working on lately is just trying to get all our permits in line. We've got, first thing that comes up is we have to get permits in order to clean up the ocean road to get in there. And thanks, Ed. Anyway, we got all this permits into the Forest Service, and they're okay with the way we want to open up the road. I've explained to them that we're gonna use a snow blower. It deteriorates the road a lot less than trying to use the loader with the bucket the way we used to. We're working on that. I checked with the loader people yesterday to see exactly when all this would be available. And as we've been talking and all that, we had set up a tentative date that they would deliver on the 20th of April. Yesterday, they advised me that we would have this loader in by the 1st of April, delivered to our yard. What I've done is I've leased it for a month. Overall, it's gonna run just under $25,000. But part of the cost on this is they will not lease the chains for it. We have to buy the chains, and the cost of the chains is involved with all this. So we got all this taken care of too. So day we start using it is the day our time will start on it. Any unused time we'll get reimbursed for it. So we got 30 days to use it. So that with that, our intention is we're trying to see if we can get the road open to Osier, have it to. We want to be able to start getting some work done by the 1st of May at Osier. Make sure we're dining hall's completed. Everything we got a little bit of work we still have to do in there. We got some painting contractors that have to get in there. The sooner we get them in there, the sooner all this stuff goes away, gets done. So that's one obstacle we're trying to get out of the way. As we start on the 20th, opening the road to Osier, we're planning on starting around the same time, opening the tracks from Antonito towards Chama, by rail. We'd like to be able to get into Osier at the same time as we're opening the road along with the tracks, so we have 2 lanes in there in case for some reason we need double access. That would help us in the long run. Other than that, we've been painting cars and doing annuals. We're doing everything we can on them. We've got 10 cars that are done, but the painting's really changed a lot on there. It's been difficult trying to get materials. One of the biggest problems we had is we sat for 2 weeks where we didn't have paint. All we could do was prep. And finally, we were able to get our paint supply in. So now we're going. So I think everything's going to speed up now that we'll be able to get the rest of the fleet done. We're trying to see if we can get everything pretty much maxed out. By the 10th of May, to where we can use it. We'd like to be able to bring in the crews and use them to do a little bit of training with them. Where we have less people that know how to do this stuff, then we got to bring in new people. We need to do a lot of cross training. And the best deal is if we can get them in there, but see what happens when we're not taking care of stuff. That only limits stuff goes down the road. So that's a program that's in place, you know, and we have contacted our people that were working with us last year, and we'd received answers back from them that they're coming back, so that really helps in the long run and all that, you know, how to propose what we're gonna do. So we're okay in working on all that stuff. You know, historic car building, they started doing some work. They weren't able to do much digging because everything was caving in on them, so they're gonna have to do the digging a different way. They tried using an auger, and auger does not work very good where there's gravel because it just keeps caving in. So they're gonna go in with the mini excavator and just dig holes and put everything in there. So hopefully that'll speed them up. They should be there this week. And, you know, going on there. So that'll help clean up some of this stuff in the yard so we can get around this. Because right now we got all their stuff in the way. Let's see. On the electrical side of it, we had an electrician go in and look at our shop, and there's a little bit of an upgrade that's got to happen. And he's got to change some boxes around and stuff like that, because we keep tripping breakers every time we try using lathes or anything. He has ordered all the stuff, and yesterday morning he did call me and told me that he's finally got the stuff and he's planning on trying to get in there sometime this week to start doing all the electrical upgrade and on our wiring and our lights. We're going to change all the lights in the shop into LED lights. You know, that'll be cheaper to operate because we'll have better lighting in there to work with. So that's also one of the things that's going to happen. It's going to happen. He's also the one that's going to be working with trying to put in discharging systems, and he's waiting for some answers from the state of exactly how they want it done, and you know, where he can pick up all materials. You know, so that's also going to happen here. You know, as we go along, you know, we're hoping to get a lot of this stuff completely out of the way by the time the season starts. So, you know, we can go on with that. On the historical car, big car F, Gel's been working on it. We hired a couple of guys, so he's got some help now. So he's able to work a little bit more comfortable in there now, and he's got the help to do some other stuff. So we're, you know, just working on it, trying to keep the project going. Right now, he's waiting for the sheet metal people to come in, install the roof on that car, and then he can keep going with working all the clear story windows in place and all that, you know, to work to the next step. So that's proceeding. On the track side of it, everything's been idle. We've been ordering different materials and all that, you know, that we need for the different projects. But yesterday, I also got called got a call from Case, and the excavator and attachments will be delivered Monday morning. And they're bringing a person with them that's going to come and show us how to do all the connections and all that for all this equipment and all that. So he's planning on doing some job training between Monday and Tuesday. So, you know, I'll have several guys out there, you know, with him. So we get several guys to learn the whole aspect of the machine. You know, in case we need, you know, somebody else on it, they can at least know how to move it, get around with it. So, but that's coming. And the backhoe that we're going to buy, it's in Colorado Springs. They were fitting in all the hydraulic pumps into it, and that should be coming here in the next 3 weeks with all the attachments also. So, okay.
Those pieces of equipment are for the track crew.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Would you mind mentioning what the attachments will allow us to do?
Okay. What we're doing on the excavator there's coming, you know, with digging components, plus also the excavator's going to have a mulcher on it. So we'll be able to clean up the sites where we got a lot of brush, we'll be able to reach out and clean a lot of that brush, you know, so that's gonna help a lot on our fire prevention as we go on that. The backhoe is gonna have, the tamping tools on it. So instead of the guys having to manhandle the tamping tools, they'll actually be attached to the backhoe to where they'll be able to move around with the backhoe and do the tamping. They won't be having to muscle a lot of this work. It's gonna be a lot easier for them. And this might attract more people to wanna work on the tractor because, you know, it's not gonna be a thing of that they go get abused, you know, handling ties, you know. We're also getting a tie inserted on that backhoe, so that's gonna help a lot.
Yeah.
You know, to where, all that work right now is all being done by hand, so, you know, so that's gonna help a lot in that aspect.
Is the same guy gonna do the roof on Paycar that did the other ones?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the attachments and the new equipment's going to make us much more productive, I think. And as you mentioned, it's just going to be easier on the team.
Well, it's gonna be a lot easier on our team. Also, our team starting to get old, so we don't wanna abuse them. We need to save them, you know. You know, they've got a lot of knowledge and, you know, you don't wanna lose them, you know, because of injury or anything, you know. You'd rather keep that knowledge to keep going with us, you know, so.
Exactly. And I'd just like to commend the folks in Chama and the folks in Antonito about how much they've got done this winter season, especially when the teams are a little thin. If you have a chance, if you haven't noticed, look at the cars that are sitting over here in Antonito, and they look so nice. The majority of them have been painted, and yeah, it's a huge aesthetic improvement. So congratulations there. The parlor car looks awesome, and that steel siding is really, really nice. So it's great work.
We're trying to improve as much of the operation as possible, the equipment and everything, so.
Well,
We're getting there.
Yeah, and honestly, what I saw on both sides is fantastic. So thank you.
Any other questions for Marvin?
Yes, the number 15 diesel, have you been able to work on that yet?
No, I haven't been able to work on that. I need to wait till the weather warms up to where we can work outside on that one, because I don't have space inside at all.
Have you gotten the new equipment in, or?
I've got traction motors, I got new traction moters for it, and I've also got a brand new radiator set for it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll have our financial report.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I'm just going to be going over the financials. I'll just jump right into HPA. So if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll go over the historic preservation P&L year-to-date comparison. So this just reflects what we see for our historic preservation for our operational revenue from this last season. And it just shows our monthly recurring interest income. So there's not too much going on in HPA. We do see that we did take the money for to build the shop out for the historic contest, so that did come out of HPA, and that's just to protect the cars. I'll jump right into our commission account, our commission fund. I'm sorry. So we our P&L budget versus actual, we will be making a bar. We will submit a bar to the state of New Mexico because we do have to amend our budget. So we are a little bit over budget for our supplies and services, professional fees, G&A, and utilities. So we have seen a tremendous increase in utilities. I think pretty much everybody's experiencing that, but that is where the majority of our increase for our bar will need to be submitted. The balance sheet remains strong for year-to-date totals. Our insurance schedules are shown on the balance sheet, so the liability on the balance sheet will be decreasing as we expense the monthly insurances. We did add additional coverage for property and liability, so we do see an increase in our expenditures and as well as our prepaid insurance for commission. I'm going to jump into the operating side. So our year-to-date income is about 4.58 million. This includes ticket revenue from season of 2022. Our expenses for year-to-date totals are over budget, so we will be submitting a bar for that as well. The following expenses are over budget. It's payroll expenses, operational expenses, professional fees, G&A, and utilities. So again, we do see that increase in utilities. The balance sheet for CTO, the total assets have increased from prior year. So we see an increase in our current assets. And again, this is where our insurance, our prepaid insurance sits. So we do see that increase from prior year. The total liabilities have decreased from prior year. So that's a good thing. On the capital side, this is pretty busy for us around this time of the year. So we have our locomotor rehab in full swing, as well as passenger car rehab and pay car F. We did submit a billing to Colorado for reimbursement, so we'll hope to see that within the next couple of weeks, I would hope. Our New Mexico expenditures I've been working with Ed on reconciliations for this, so him and I will get together to finish up the New Mexico side. I'll just make a few comments on a few things that are going on in my department. So we transitioned to a new payroll system. That was, I would say, pretty successful. We do have a few issues that we're trying to resolve on my end. We were just hoping that the integration and the syncing to QuickBooks was gonna take away the manual entries and allocations that I will have to do. But since we have many capital allocations that need to be prepared, we'll just be doing those through worksheets. We are working on the general ledger for that's coming from ADP into QuickBooks. So year-to-date financial statements, you won't see our payroll expenses. You will see some, but not all, just because we are working on that general ledger. And then we're still looking for an accounts payable clerk. Myself and my team have taken that on, so it's been pretty busy in my department. But that's pretty much it on my end. If there's any questions.
Any questions?
Sounds like a great
Comments?
report, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck on getting a new team member soon.
Yeah.
I know
Thank
you
you.
have a appointment, so feel free to leave at any time. Thank you very much.
The Osier fire illustrated to us that the rebuilding costs for things have gone up very dramatically.
Yeah.
And we understood then that we were underinsured many places, and so Ed worked hard last year to update the values on all the properties, and that drove a significant insurance cost increase.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense.
Marketing next.
And now we'll hear from Abby and her marketing report.
All right, so everything going into season from a marketing standpoint is going very well. As you heard Scott mention, we are up 44% year over year. So that's going really well. Scott did want me to, kind of mention some different things that I'm doing with going into season in regards to marketing. Of course, one of it being switching a little bit more to digital, even more than what we did last year. Some of this is that's just the way marketing's going. Some of it is, we're still having COVID effects, so a lot of print publications no longer exist, or it's all online. So you have no choice but to do it that way as well. Another adjustment that I have also made is earlier advertising. So typically, we've started advertising mid-April. I've actually have already started a lot of my buys in February, and even more are going to start hitting out in March. So, so far so good because it is reflecting on tickets. So that is good. Another reason that I did that is also because, in the fall, it's our busiest time. Typically we have sold out trains, kind of switching that money to run earlier in hopes we get some more ridership in our slow down times. So I did mention about the digital shift. So just throwing a number out there, I have shifted 17% of our spending to online, with print coming down accordingly. So that's how much I've switched it. Brochures are ordered and in. The Friends also, they did their own order of our brochures, so that went directly to them. I believe
We have them.
yeah, they got them before we did. So crazy how that worked out. This year's brochures, they do have prices, so we went more with a threefold versus just a simple rack card. So it does have a little bit more information in it. So far, I'll go into talk a little bit about PR. Between January 21st and February 20th, there were 105 known media stories. The majority of this is coming from, we're doing a social media takeover from photographers. Many of you might have seen that. The first one we did was Carlos, and then the second one was David Weston, so some of our employees got highlighted in that. Carlos actually did get a story from the Alamosa Citizen, and David Weston actually got interviewed by KRQE. So a lot of those PR are coming from the social media takeover. Just trying to keep people involved about what's going on and see, all of our rail fans and even our employees' social media accounts as well. Let's see. Website numbers are also up significantly, even versus last year, and then month over month. So users, they are going to our website. So I'm trying to keep that a little bit refreshed, so return users are like, oh, well, that wasn't there this time. Maybe what have we added to the website? I have also added a countdown to opening day on the website, so a lot of people have started to watch that countdown, or the panic, whichever. Depends which way we look at it, right? And just on another little note, we have started planning for Christmas trains, so that discussion is taking place. So that is the overall goal going into this season as well. Anybody have any questions?
To comment, so yeah, great job, and it's a very good idea to do more digital, just because it gives us that flexibility. We haven't used the money and committed it.
Right.
We have no idea what the season's going to be like, and that gives us that ability to make changes quickly. So
Yep.
that was very smart. And the reservation increase so early is very significant and I guess gratifying.
Right, yeah, hopefully, the goal is, just to keep the pace up. We'll see what happens going into season, but so far so good.
Yeah, I'm really happy you're moving some of the fall marketing into the summer, because those are selling themselves. You
Yeah,
really need
yeah.
it, but the summer's a great time
To shift it
to
a
get
little
more
bit.
people in.
So numbers it'll be telling to see what happens then.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And it's good that we're doing it incrementally rather than just, yes.
I don't have much to report on local affairs. Get a number of questions asked about opening day, and we are gonna have our Memorial Day, or Memorial Weekend as the opening day, so that's good. Everybody in town's happy about that. I'll let Kim, Three Hats Kim.
Good morning. I think that the fact that we're sitting here on a Saturday morning in a meeting room that has been declared no longer available is indicative of our relationship with Antonito. When I called and asked Stephanie if we could meet here, she said, well, we're still not doing that, but we're gonna help you out. So I really appreciate the town of Antonito allowing us to meet here. I also wanna thank Sam for being so flexible. He didn't know yesterday morning when he left where we were gonna be meeting, if we were meeting here or in Chama or via Zoom. So thank you, Sam, because we've found that your recording of these meetings has proved to be invaluable. So we appreciate you as well. And did you want to say something?
I said you're very welcome.
Oh, thank you. In Chama, things are starting to come to life. Some of the restaurants are opening back up. Local is going to open March 1st, and Boxcars open back up after being closed for several weeks. But I overheard a really interesting conversation at lunch. I didn't overhear it. We're actually involved in it. One of the local venues, the wedding venues, has 30 weddings scheduled for this season. And one of their busiest weekends is October 6th. And they felt like they have probably done a disservice to both us and their clients because the town's going to be so busy. So to be able to have that kind of communication and understanding of how things work in Chama, I was very encouraged by that as well. And Abby and I will start working in the next few weeks and visiting with the businesses on both sides. And the scholarship's been mentioned a couple of times, but I want you to see that there is living proof that this was actually done. I don't think the commissioners have had the chance to see this check. But this is also indicative of our commitment to the communities and trying to make things work better for all of us. So I think things are working, and I'm really happy about that. And I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Questions for Kim?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I like your check there, that's great.
Yeah, it was, this is we did this for the governor's mansion ornament, so Abby's getting really good at making fake checks.
Except for we got there is the president of Trinidad State College is like, I think you guys forgot a zero. I was like, I did not.
Scott?
Capital projects, I walked through most of that in the president's report. The one thing we are doing and kicked off with a look across the railroad at capital projects for infrastructure that we really need to start putting together and building a plan, an infrastructure improvement plan to address things like the roundhouse in Chama, the lava water tank, and some of the other needs across the railroad, and then figure out how we go get those projects funded. We've got opportunities, and New Mexico is beating us up for not having that list to submit to them to get funded. So that's a piece that we're working on right now.
Questions?
Not for me.
Bill?
Well, we have had a wonderful report on our finances. I'm happy to see that the accounts payable have gone down, resulting in a higher balance sheet. And things are going well. So if we can only get an additional employee or two to work on accounts payable, that would help. But we're working on it, so. No other report, Billy.
Questions? Mark?
So I think Abby did a great job and I made my comments, so thank you.
Tim? Tim?
Okay. I do have a report here. And with the pictures. Yeah, I always remember
Yeah.
Dan.
Oh, he loved pictures.
Dan loved pictures, so. I hope everybody got their Valentine's Day card from Dan. Doesn't send out Christmas, but.
That was a really
Yeah,
nice
it's nice.
card.
It's a Valentine's.
So glad to know that his new place is coming along.
One thing I didn't have in there I wanted to mention, and I kind of, when Scott mentioned about the 492, wanted to bring up that we had a Friends member, Ron Burkhart, who lives in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Gotta get my Wisconsin accent out there. People, after 18 years out here, people say, where are you from? I said, Wisconsin. That's all I can tell. The accent. Anyway, Ron Burkhart donated $100,000 towards the 492. So whenever Scott gives me the green light, we'll give you a check. So just so want you to know that. Our spring banquet's coming up March 17th, St. Patty's Day. It's at the Holiday Inn and Suites right off I-25 at Jefferson. It's a stone's throw from the office, and Bill and I are going to work on a program of some sort. Scott, you don't want to do anything formal, but if you want to say a few words, it's always appreciated. So, very much. Scott mentioned the charter we're running in August. That's a pre-national narrow gauge convention, which is being held in Denver. And right now we're over 60, probably 62, 63% of the seats are sold. And we almost have the railroad's costs covered. I think I'm $1,000 from having the railroad's charter fees covered. So that's strictly been through, well, thank you, Abby, for putting it on the railroad website, but that was just really so far a result of our e-blast to our members. So that's very good. And then we have space at the convention, which both the Friends and the Railroad will have representation there, which is good. Scott mentioned our Saturday, July 29th Moonlight Wine Train, which will go to Osier. So that's on the calendar. You'll note the item about Jeff Gordon passed away on February 13th. I don't have anything about any services. I've been talking to Nancy, and I can't even find an obituary for Jeff, but she was going to put something together so we can put in a dispatch. But longtime Friends member, obviously he was on the board of the Friends, on RGRPC board. So very engaged, but she's going to put together some thoughts about Jeff so we can put it in our dispatch the next time out. I think I mentioned this in November, but we continue to see new members come in through we did a classic train solicitation last fall, so we're almost at 170 new members, which is, I always look at it because it's kind of old-fashioned. You're sending something to somebody via the U.S. Post Office, but with our demographics, sorry, that's old-fashioned, right? I was told by our marketing firm that's kind of old-fashioned, but it's gotten results, and we've covered our costs 3 times over. So that's one of the One of the items we continue to wrestle with is trying to bring in, maybe this isn't necessarily new blood, because I think the demographics are such, they're baby boomers that have expendable income, but we're bringing in new members, so, which is good. Those are some of the challenges. Abby mentioned we did get our brochures, so thank you. We send them out, with membership renewals and obviously train shows. We had presence out east at the Amherst show, down in Dallas. We've got some other shows coming up. We want to make sure we have brochures in hand so we can get them out to the train and model railroad community and all that, because they're good customers as well. I listed the work sessions again coming up throughout the year, both in Antietam and in Chama. And then last but not least, for the commissioners, I put some pictures of that Don Atkinson sends out of the work that is starting and continuing on the express bag car up in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, that's great.
So there you go. That's one of those long-term projects, and hopefully at the end it'll just be like the tourist sleeper, pump it out and be a great car to have available. So I think that's it, guys, gals.
Our greatest thanks to the Friends. You guys are awesome.
Yep,
We
really,
wouldn't be where we are without you, that's for certain.
Well, we try.
really appreciate all you do.
Well, thank you for letting us do that. And then, as I mentioned to Mark, in October, we're gonna be up in Golden for our banquet at, meetings at Table Mountain, and I think the museum will have the dinner. So, yeah, I've been communicating with Paul Hammond on that, so anyway, thank you, everybody,
Thank
appreciate
you.
everything.
Thank you. Well, can I get a roll call to go into executive session?
I'd like to
please?
move that we go into executive session.
Second. So, Mark says yes.
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 Where we gonna go? Can we get a roll call to go back into regular session?
I so move, by the way. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, would you like a roll call?
Please.
Mark,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Billy,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Back into regular session at 10:22. Let the record reflect there were no decisions made in executive session. New business. Can I get,
I would like to move that we approve the additional payment of $1,500 to John Bush.
I
For
second.
his-
I'll let you.
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, John, very
Thank you,
much.
John.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Mark says yes.
Billy says yes.
Scott says yes.
Bill says yes. Okay, I move that we would adopt the resolution to approve the commission strategic plan calendar years 2023 to 27.
Second.
Go ahead.
You gotta hit that buzzer fast.
I was calling, I was calling for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Can I get a roll call, please?
Mark says yes.
Billy says yes.
Scott says yes.
Bill says yes. With great joy, I move that we purchase the property located at Lot 3, Block 5 in Antonito.
I'll second that.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Mark says yes.
Billy says yes.
Scott says yes.
Bill says yes. I've been trying to buy that since 2004, by the way. So. I would also like to move that we purchase a real property in Chama at the address of 888 North State Highway 17. That's Ed's Body Shop.
I'll second.
Billy says yes.
Mark says yes.
Scott says yes.
Bill says yes.
Do we have any old business? guess if somebody will say we're out of here, we're out of here. Oh,
Just a question, would you like an update on the status on 223 and an update on the status at TABB?
yes.
That'd be great.
So I'd be happy to give them.
Great, thank you,
Please,
Tom.
thanks for being here too.
Do you want me to stand up or? That mic would pick up better if you don't mind. I'll make it real brief. That mic would pick up better if you don't mind. I'll make it real brief. First of all, I would like to, with regard to the TABB, we've been working hard to get some representation out of Rio Arriba County. And Matt Gallegos from the village council has agreed to be at least an alternate representative for the county. We're hoping that this will help us move things on the New Mexico side. We have approval to put up 2 informative signs, one at the Watchable Wildlife and one near Juanita on the Colorado side, and Colorado has provided the sign bases and will pay for the installation of those signs. We'd like to get signage at Dulce, and we'd like to get signage in Chama to help encourage traffic on the New Mexico side. So this hopefully will help with that advancement of the project in New Mexico. With regard to the 223 project, I went over and did an inventory of the parts in December that got done. The state of Utah apparently has agreement finally from the city of Salt Lake to sign everything over to the state of Utah, giving the state of Utah the permission to move the locomotive outside of the state. That has been a holdup. The paperwork is still not signed. So as they say, what is it? Fish ain't food till it's fried. So it isn't a done deal yet. But that does seem to be moving slowly ahead. We don't know what Ogden is planning to do, and we don't know whether Ogden at this point will put up any resistance to it leaving. They've shown no interest in it before, but politics is politics. So that's the current status on that project. There has been a society established, the C16 Society, whose mission basically is to look after and protect and provide interest for both the 268, which is in Gunnison, the 278, which is at Cimarron, and the 223. I do believe that they will be hosting a table at the National Narrow Gauge Convention in Denver in August. And that's what I know.
Is there any value in that organization, do you think?
They are very interested in trying to increase interest and seek funding should we get to a point where restoration on the 223 can occur. So yeah, they're very interested in that.
All right.
Okay?
Thanks, John.
Thanks,
Any
John.
other questions?
Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks for the opportunity.
There is a fundraiser at the Parish Hall for Sandra Gray's grandson. It starts at noon, so if anybody wants Frito pies, go by there.
Yes.
Okay, now. We're out of
Somebody
here.
needs a motion.
Somebody needs a motion.
I moved we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 10:30.